What's going on, everybody? Boy Jay in the building. We is back again with another one. All right, now I read the Players Tribune letter that Tarik Cohen had left, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, it was tough to read. It was tough to read, man. Like, I had to pause a few times. Like, I had to read back at some of the things I read because I just couldn't believe, like, just within the 4 years he was with the Bears alone, that he dealt with. So if a lot of y'all didn't read it, then, real summary of it, like, this is a letter to his 17-year-old self. And he talks about the process of him, like, he was already moving. He went to 6 different elementary schools, from the very beginning. And so, with that, now here comes, fast forwarding, it's coming to his senior season, his senior year, and his mom is he's getting ready to move again, but he explained, but he has, scholarships lined up, and he already has a relationship with not only his high school coach, but with the college coaches that he probably has a relationship with. So instead of him moving with his mom and brothers, he decided to stay with his aunt. But in the process of that, he has a little brother, his younger brother and his twin, his little brother, who who just wasn't the same after that, and the thing about this is that, you never want to, you always want to do what you think is best for you. And at the end of the day, like, regardless of how, Cohen, how Tarik felt about his decision, or how his brothers felt about his decision, like, and he told him from the jump, like, yo, like, when I go to the NFL, bro, like, I got y'all, like, y'all ain't have to worry about nothing. And in the process between his senior season, when he went crazy, to the time he went to A&T, like, he was hearing about his younger brother getting into some trouble, and, and him getting calls about, what his younger brother was doing. And we're going to talk about his college career, but I do want to get with this, with this story, and, but his brother getting in trouble, and then him finding out that, fast forwarding, he gets drafted, and his brother calls him, his younger brother calls him, and he needs to be bailed out of jail. So I guess he heads home, and he heads to his mom's home, and I guess he like, all of the drug, like, because his younger brother was dealing with drugs, and he had a whole bunch of drugs and money, so he flushed all that down the toilet. He threw it away because I guess he was scared that I assumed that he was nervous that the cops was gonna come after him, and Lord knows, what would have happened if the cops would have saw all that stuff at home. So when he got his younger brother from jail, they head home, and his younger brother is yelling at him because he's mad that he did that. So, fast forwarding, to his career, or his few seasons with the Bears, and all while the Bears, him having the success that he's having with the Bears, his little brother gets shot in the head, and he's paralyzed. They're saying that he's permanently paralyzed, but before he even got the news, like, he was getting ready for an interview, and he was there prepping because I guess he was telling the story about how he got from an HBCU to being drafted in 4th round, and I guess that they were going to talk about how he felt about it. And so his twin brother calls him and says that his brother, that his brother Dante got shot. And, he paused, like he was confused. So after he hung up, he turned off his phone. And so he went and did the interview. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, like, if my brother, like, if I heard that my younger brother was just shot, I'm canceling everything and I'm heading straight to where my brother is. So for him to have the strength to go forward with the interview after just hearing the news minutes before, it takes a lot of strength. And and then he flew to North Carolina right after the interview, and saw his brother on the hospital bed, and he lost it. So I guess that night he took his younger brother's gun, or took a gun, and he went driving around, and I guess he got information that the dude that did it had a red shirt on, and him not thinking clearly, he's looking for a guy with a red shirt on. After him already being and mind you, this is while he's in the NFL already with the Bears. Like, he's driving around and he's looking for a guy with a red shirt. And, lucky for him, he doesn't find anybody. So he heads back to the hospital. And, I guess he found out the news that, that he's paralyzed. They found a whole bunch of tubes or whatever. So, fast forwarding, go back to Chicago, he's an all-pro now. So he's having a successful career so far, and then I guess his third season didn't go so well. So, going through, he's still working out or whatever. Then, during the COVID year, he signs, I guess, a 3 or 4 year contract for like $72 million, with like 16 of it guaranteed or whatever, 12 million or 17 guaranteed or whatever, somewhere around that. And a week later, he blows his ACL. Like, he has an ACL tear like a week later against the Falcons. Then come to find out, he goes to get surgery, and comes out it's worse than what they thought. So he not only does he have an ACL tear, he has an MCL tear, and something with his tubula or fibula, something. So in the process of him healing, not knowing how long the healing process is, his twin brother gets killed. And, and he gets killed because it's a one-car accident, and then he gets electrocuted. And dog, like, Lord knows what, the process that he's going through within his 4 years of being in the NFL, you get your younger brother, who was considered, to society, a troubled kid. He gets shot and paralyzed, and then your twin brother is killed. And mind you, like, none of this happened. Like, he doesn't say a thing. Like, he goes to training camp, doesn't say a thing. I'm sure nobody, I'm sure he said none of this to anybody. And so I can only imagine what his mental health, what he was going through around that time, especially with, dealing with his brothers, and then for me to read that, maybe he probably felt guilty with him staying with his aunt, and he should have just, probably thought about just going with his mom and having things settled, with his family. And Lord knows what would have happened if he would have did that, or, or maybe he felt like he should have just brought them up to Chicago. Maybe he said that he should have called them more, but regardless of how he feels about it, at the end of the day, like, you really have to do what's best for you, and you have to get you right first, because there are a lot of people who will lose themselves trying to help other people who won't get themselves together. And you can't really fault, like, nobody should really fault themselves for whatever decisions that her family member makes. And dog, it's just unfortunate that he had to go through something like this, because this is, and in the time where the young lady from Southern passed, who she was only a freshman, and then I'm hearing, I've seen on Twitter that, I have to get the name, I apologize, but it was another freshman or sophomore from Fairview who he put out a long letter talking about, about suicidal thoughts or whatever. So this has just been a crazy week for, in terms of mental health awareness, man. Like, it's just been an absolute nightmare. But, for Tarik Cohen to have gone through what he went through, even during his recovery from injury, and him not, he hasn't, mind you, he hasn't played for almost 2 years. And mind you, like, the 2021, the Bears never even notified anybody about how Tarik Cohen was doing, about how, like, because we're thinking that it's an ACL tear, not knowing that it was more than that. So it's just and then, but him saying that, that he's completely healthy, and, he feels better than ever, and that he's ready to compete, I hope that his NFL team signs him. And I know that a team will feel that it may be risky because he's been so far removed from playing for a whole almost 2 years, basically 2 seasons removed. It's kind of risky. But, that Tribune, dog, I was just blown away. Because, mentally, you don't know what anybody's going through. Like, and he had to be strong for his family, even when, he's telling his family, like, look, like, when he was confident in college that, I'm going to make it to the NFL. And when I get to the NFL, I'm going to hold y'all down. And then he even said it like, once he signed his deal, he called his mom and said that she don't have to work anymore. He got that second contract and called his mom and told him that she did not have to work. And then a week later that happens. And it's just a sad situation, dog. And I pray that, that he's healthy. I'm praying for his family, and my condolence to his, him losing his twin brother, dog. Like, he's going through a lot, and in terms of, now I did see, a lot of people ever since this Tribune came out, I've seen a lot of people talking about what Tarik Cohen did for HBCU football and what it compares to what Jackson State is doing. And I'm not gonna get deep into that today, but I do want to say this though. Tarik Cohen and what he did for A&T, what he did for the HBCU football community in the MEAC conference. First of all, he's the greatest running back in MEAC ever. Like, he's one of the greatest running backs in HBCU football history. And that can't be denied. That can't go without, that goes without saying. And I think that's an easy call to make. Like, for him to, let me say this, he was first team all MEAC every year from 2013 to 16. Like he rushed for over 1,000 yards every year, and his yards total went up each and every year. So he was a 4-time first team All-MEAC. He's a 3-time All-American. I think he might have been 3-time Offensive Player of the Year. But the thing about Tarik Cohen is that he really didn't get the national attention that he deserved until after that 2015 season. You know, and I think that was the year where the first Celebration Bowl had happened. And I think before that season happened, he went viral when he did a backflip while catching the football. And I saw that like, damn, that was crazy. Now, mind you, the first time I actually went and saw Tarik Cohen play, it was actually during homecoming. I think it might have been his sophomore year. It was 2014. Yeah, I went to North Carolina A&T's homecoming in 2014, and dog, it was packed. Like when I say A&T's homecomings be super packed, and yo, it's called G-Hole for a reason. Like the greatest homecoming on earth, dog. A&T's homecoming be super lit. But, you know, I first saw him play, and he didn't really do much in that game. I think they played against FAMU, and he didn't really do much in that game. But I'm in the crowd, and I'm hearing like, yo, any minute Tarik, Cohen is going blast off, and it never happened. But the fact that people was waiting for it to happen, because mind you, I didn't know who he was. Now I know that this was a short running back, 5'6", 5'7", short running back that was super quick, but he really didn't get the national attention until after that Celebration Bowl where he absolutely went off. Like and I actually watched that game, so I'm like, oh snap! Like, and mind you, I'm 3 years removed from graduating from Livingstone. You know what I'm saying? So I was actually excited that there was considered like an HBCU national championship game. You know what I'm saying? So watch that, and bro, Tarik Cohen went absolutely crazy. He went absolutely crazy. Now I think he had almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I think at that point, that's when, A&T started getting a lot more attention. Because I think the year after, A&T beat Kent State. And he rushed for over 250 yards in that game. And they beat him, I think they beat Kent State in overtime, I believe. But yeah, I think his senior season, he rushed, I think he started off the year, he rushed for 200 yards in 3 straight games. I think his junior and senior year, he rushed for 1,500 yards. He broke the school record for the most rushing yard for the most touchdowns in a season, and I think he tied the school record for the most rushing touchdowns in a season. I think he had 18. He was the only running back who rushed for 5,000 yards in a career in the MEAC. He has the record. He's still the leading rusher in the MEAC. I think he has 5,600 yards, and he has 56 rushing touchdowns. Like I'm telling y'all, like this dude Tarik Cohen. If y'all didn't see him play, y'all really missed out, honestly. Cause I think by then, that's when I started to really catch on. Like people started he was really looking like nationally known. Like he made a name for himself, and that's when everybody started to really pay attention. And mind you, we was all upset when A&T lost to Central, because that's when Central went to the Celebration Bowl Cohen's senior year. So yeah, man, yeah, like Tarik Cohen's legacy at A&T for HBCU football period is really unmatched. And I don't mind you, he spoke about his, I guess in his interview, he spoke about, not only being, a guy who's from an HBCU, but a guy who was drafted to the Chicago Bears. Mind you, Walter Payton was drafted to the Bears, so he spoke about that comparison. And mind you, he's being compared to Darren Sproles and how good he was. And when he hit, and mind you, when he went to the NFL, he was good off the rip. He was a third down back, good off the rip. He made his first All-Pro. He not only went to a Pro Bowl, he was an All-Pro. So Tarik Cohen's Tarik Cohen's legacy at A&T is like you can't match it. Like he was absolutely amazing. Like I can't even name all of the accolades he had, bro. He's a 3-time Offensive Player of the Year, 3-time All-American, 4-time First Team, like with over 5,000 yards rushing. He's the only running back in the MEAC to have that, and I don't know if that would ever happen again, or at least for a while in the MEAC, of course, because I don't know how long the MEAC is gonna stay a conference. But versus, A&T's legacy from 2013 to 2019 versus what Jackson State is doing now, for that to be a conversation now is a very interesting one. I'm going to get to that on a later day, man, but I really just wanted to have this video dedicated to Tarik Cohen because I know that story, I know that he dealt with a lot doing that. And it was just, dog, man, like, once again, man, like, mental health is important. Mental health is very, very, very important, so, but, man, shout out to him. I hope he gets involved with, an NFL team pretty soon. Hope somebody picks him up, so that's just, oh, man, sad.